Hey everybody, today we are ranking the top mistakes that newer and new to Magic Arena players make in their first couple of weeks playing on Arena. This is not to shame any new players, this is hopefully to educate and to talk about, hey, I've made every single one of these mistakes on the list on some kind of form, and so have a vast majority of most new players. We all make some kind of these mistakes. And what I really want to do is help warn new players to stay away from some traps that are there that can really take the fun out of Magic once you find out that you've made some of these mistakes. So hopefully you can learn something from this video. If you have new players to Magic that are in your life, I hope you share this video so that we just limit the number of mistakes that we make. It won't be zero. It never has been and it never will be, but hopefully we can lower it as much as possible so that you can have a fun and enjoyable time getting used to playing Magic, and specifically for this video, Magic on Arena. So the first one we're going to talk about is wasting wildcards. And so the crafting system on Arena lets you create any card of a certain rarity that you can have when you have a wild card, right? So there's common, uncommon, rare, and mythic rare. The rare and mythic rare wild cards become exceedingly rare as you go along. You will get plenty of common and you will get plenty of uncommon wild cards. And so those cards you can go ahead and craft whenever you want, because you'll always be able to replace them with more wild cards. When you start building competitive decks, it's actually a little counterintuitive that the rare wild card becomes more rare than the mythic, because the rare wild card is what you're going to need to craft your dual lands for a two-color deck, and the mythics are only those big splashy cards that you may have one or two in your deck, of which you may be playing 3 or 4 copies, right? And so you may have a lot of mythics in your deck, but most of the time you end up with more rares than mythics. So I would urge new players or new players to Arena to just not create rare and mythic rare wildcards until you know what you're doing. The first week, just play, just see what's out there. If you find a deck list that's budget, if you find a deck list that uses commons and uncommons, go ahead and craft them if you'd like, but just don't craft the rare and mythics quite yet. This is a tough problem. Everybody ends up doing it, and then it also kind of stings because it stays with you for the next couple of weeks as you're trying to build up to either a standard deck or a more competitive deck. I think this is one of the toughest problems for Magic Arena, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in the S tier. Another problem that I see often that most people don't talk about are re-rolling your daily goals. So on Magic Arena, you get a daily goal that is either 500 or 750 gold when you complete the goal. Now, you can store up to 3 of these daily goals, and you can, when you finish one, you'll get the next one on the next day. Once per day, you have the chance to re-roll a goal that you have. So it may be your goal is right now to play 20 white and red spells, and that would be for 500 gold. Well, if you only have a 500 gold goal, go ahead and re-roll it and hope to get a 750 gold goal, right? There's no reason to not re-roll. If it's specifically that you have a red and white deck and the goal is to play red and white cards, remember it's red or white, so you can get that accomplished through many different decks, not just a red and white deck. And the starter decks come in all 10 color pairs, so you're going to be able to use the starter decks to make sure you accomplish the goals quicker. And so there's no downside. You should be re-rolling a goal every day if you don't have all 750 goals available. That will, in the long term, give you more gold and get you closer to a free-to-play player going forward. So while the impact is not huge, over a long term, it will add up. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the B category. Skipping the starter decks is another thing that once players finish the tutorial and they finish the color challenge, the entirety of Magic Arena kind of opens up and some players get lost on where do they go next. If you consume Magic media, most of the discussion is around either standard or commander, right? Both of which require rares and mythics that you don't have right now. And so I encourage everyone to play the standard dual deck format where you have 10 two-color decks that play against each other in a closed format. So you can't upgrade these decks, you just play them as is versus the other decks that are inside this format. On this channel, we have plenty of videos on getting started. The two of them that I recommend for newer players are the blue-white Flyers deck called Arcane Aerialists and the black-white Life Gain deck called Vampiric Hunger. The red-blue Wizards deck, it's called Wondrous Wizards. That's another really fun one, but I would stick to the first two if you are a new player. Play in this queue a lot. This will show you what the main archetypes are for the 10 color pairs, at least in Magic Foundations. Each set has their own set of archetypes with their own mechanics. So just to kind of get a broad stroke of what is going on in Magic, this is a great place to start. I see a lot of people skipping this step, so I'm going to go ahead and rank this in the A tier. One problem that many Magic players end up having is falling in love with a specific card, having a pet card that you want to make sure is in all of your decks. When you're first on Magic Arena, the cards that you have in your collection don't necessarily only go for standard, and so you'll have some cards that are not playable outside of other formats like Alchemy or Historic. And so falling in love with a specific card and wanting to have to build around a specific card sometimes means building a deck in a format that you may not be ready for. It may be an older format with a wider card pool. Usually those formats take more rare and mythic rare wild cards to compete, and this is not where you want to be starting out. So I would definitely say learn a lot of cards. Have your favorites because you really like the art, or have the favorites because you like the mechanics and you want to see other cards with similar mechanics, but don't just go for one card and say that card has to be in every single deck. This is a little bit lower on the priority list, so I'll rank this in the C tier. Kind of similar is when you're thinking about building your deck, being careful on how you build the theme to the deck. Again, I'm not trying to say that anyone's way of having fun or playing Magic is invalid. I'm just talking about general advice for newer players. If you can keep theming to be broad, it will be a lot easier to get cards to fit in. If you're thinking about an all Angel deck, right? Think about an all Flyers deck. And then this way you can start building into those angel creatures that you really want to get in there, but because they might be higher rarity, you don't need to have them in immediately from the start. So, there's a green-red dinosaur deck that is out there that a lot of newer players end up really enjoying. Well, the green-red Gruul aggro deck is very similar and uses a lot of the different cards, but you're not only contained to the dinosaur creature type, and so it makes deck building a little bit easier for newer players. When you have all the wild cards that you need, you can go ahead and build all the decks that you want, and you can have your favorite on-theme deck. you will definitely get there, but you're not going to get there in the first couple of weeks. So I would definitely try and keep the deck theming to a mechanical theme rather than an artistic theme that you just don't have the cards for right at the moment. So I'll go ahead and put this up as a B tier. Another challenge is when you get out of the color challenges and you're done with the tutorial and everything on Magic Arena opens up at one time, there's just too many formats. There's a lot all at once. If you start thinking in your first week, you really want to play Historic and you want to play Alchemy and you want to start playing Timeless, and Brawl is really enticing to you because you're from Commander and you like those singleton cards, trying to make decks for all the formats at the same time, it's just not feasible if you are playing on a budget. If you have a much higher budget and you can go out there and buy rare and mythic rare wildcards, they are sold in the shop every day, so you can go ahead and enjoy and play a lot faster. But for a vast majority of newer players, you would be best to stick to 1 to 2 formats. If you are playing daily, you will definitely get the rare and the mythic rare wildcards that you need over the course of a couple of weeks to build whatever decks you need. You just can't get them immediately if you're looking for specifically multiple formats. Re-rolling your daily goals to 750 gold will end up giving you about 1,000 gold per day if you prorate out the weekly bonuses that you get. And so you can use that as a measuring stick of where you want to go with some of these formats, right? Quick Draft costs 500 gold to enter. And so if your goal in Magic Arena is to kind of play a little bit throughout the week, and then on the weekends you get to do a free draft, right? You can go ahead and do it that way. Just remember that all your gold will be going to that draft. If you're looking to build a collection and to start, getting as many cards as possible, I would urge you to look into the jump into and jump in formats where you could pay 1,000 gold to get a 40 card deck with 2 kind of themes that you are picking, and there are rares and mythics inside there. Sometimes the lands that you also need are inside there, and you can go ahead and start building out a collection that way. But again, you can't do everything all at once on a budget. If you have a larger budget than I do, sure, feel free. Enjoy Magic the way that you enjoy it. I'm just talking to newer players that are either free to play or only want to spend a little bit of money playing Magic, and you definitely have to make I want to say better choices, but that's not the case, right? It's not better. It's just you need to limit your focus to a smaller selection of formats so you can go deeper in each one of them. So playing too many formats at a time, it is something that happens all the time that I hear about on Magic Arena. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the A category. This next one is not getting feedback about your play. It's very hard to play on camera, put your videos out there where when you make mistakes, you hear about it quite often. But the feedback is very important, and how you get the feedback is up to you, and that's based on your play style, whether it is videos that are going out to the public, whether it is having a friend in the room with you, watching over your shoulder, making some comments on how you are playing, or sometimes it's just yourself after each game, reflecting on what worked, what didn't, what choices did you make, and would you make that choice again with the information that you had at the time of the choice. So it doesn't matter if the choice specifically ends up being poor or ends up losing you the game. You need to have the information that you have at the time of the decision and say, did you make a good decision there? If you did, then you can feel happy with the play that you have. So you need some kind of feedback loop other than just playing and then moving on immediately to the next game and never thinking back on how you performed. Again, if you are a free-to-play player, you are going to be looking to get to a 55% win rate so that when you start playing in the drafts, you can make a positive EV on your investment in the draft. So you want to make sure that you are improving. Every new player starts out, every new player makes a lot of mistakes. It's not about shaming or pointing out any kind of mistakes. It's about learning from them and not making those same mistakes as often as possible. So for that reason, the feedback loop is harder on Magic Arena, which is sometimes more of a solo endeavor than it is in paper, where you may be playing at Friday Night Magic and you're surrounded by a bunch of friends, and when you make a mistake, you know, there might be some laughter, there might be a little bit of teasing, there may be some teaching and coaching if you have some really supportive friends that are there to help you level up your game. But either way, you're getting some amount of feedback from the group that you're playing with. This is a tough one to overcome. I am going to go ahead and put this in the B territory. And the last one is not redeeming the free codes that are out there. I will put a list of codes in the pinned comment. This is not compiled by me. Please see the website that has compiled the codes. These codes were given before the 3 free packs were given out via your email on the internal messaging system. Magic had free codes that you would redeem for cosmetics and packs, and there are a lot of new players that didn't hear about them. You hopefully can hear about them right now on this video, and make sure that you take advantage. You get those packs, you get those certain cosmetics that you have. The packs, every time you open up a pack, you get more progress towards the next wild card that you need, and those wild cards are what you're going to need to build into the later format. So because this one is high effort and you can get something right away, if this is a mistake that you have made because you haven't heard about this, I'll go ahead and put this in the A territory, and I hope that if this was you and you had made that mistake of not redeeming those free codes, you do so right after this video. And if you do, and if you learn about it from this video and you're able to get some free packs and free cosmetics, I hope you would give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more tips on new player and budget player on Magic Arena, and also leave comments below, right? For a new channel that is kind of posting out into the void, it's awesome to hear new players and their feedback on what really works for them and what really is making a difference in their play and what isn't. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a comment below, that would be great. Last thing, if you want to support this channel, I do have an Amazon affiliate link. It is of no cost to you, but if you do click on it and you make any purchases on Amazon, whether it's Magic or anything else, we do get a few percentages as a kickback that helps support the channel and the operations here as we are growing. So thank you, everybody. I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.